Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here, coming to you from a malfunctioning camera. In pure desperation, I turned it off and on like 10 times, and all of a sudden the lens came out like it always used to. So this is probably the last time I'll ever be able to record using this camera. I'm going to do a few videos. I got a donation for $10 a few days ago, asking what 3 or 4 people would I have dinner with if I had a chance from throughout history. Now, I got this donation after having asked for donations. I do need the money right now. For $100, I'll upload 20 videos. I have quite a few videos ready on my hard drive to upload, things like the railroad regulations video. Normally I wouldn't start with a commercial like this, but I need the money and no one's donating, so I'm starting to apply for jobs at stupid, ridiculous places now. And pretty soon I will retire from YouTube. Once I get the school going, I'll probably never be on here again if I can't get money for it. So, appreciate everyone so far, and I appreciate this $10 donation. Who would I have dinner with throughout history if I could choose 3 or 4 people? Well, the first one is Aristotle. I used to have fantasies in high school when I was driving to school in the morning in this little Datsun pickup truck that my father had bought at an automobile auction for $70. And it was an absolute piece of junk. And one day, just on a lark, just for the fun of it, I decided to paint a hammer and sickle on the hood because I loved the hammer and sickle. I was obsessed with communism and the history of communism. I was an objectivist at the time. I had been 2 or 3 years into objectivism at the time, so it's not that I was a communist, but I just thought that was great to have that. I could just paint on this truck, it didn't matter. It was a real rusted out piece of crap. And I thought if I was riding along with Aristotle at my side, how interesting, how bizarre it would seem to him. He believed all the practical and useful arts had been discovered, and that slaves were needed to do the manual labor, the very mean and regular and daily things, so that intelligent men could spend their time thinking. And I thought it would just be very fascinating to take him along. So I have to say I wouldn't have dinner with these individuals necessarily. I would hang out with them for a few hours, if we can accept that difference from the question that was asked. I would take Aristotle along and I would say, look, you thought we had discovered everything, and yet here's metallurgy as a different question, or more advanced metallurgy, and internal combustion engines, and all this stuff that inevitably, undeniably makes human life better. Only an environmentalist would deny that automobiles make life better. And I thought that that would be a fascinating thing to show and discuss with him. Here we are moving along 55 miles an hour, or a little faster if I please, but that was the speed limit, and we get from one place to another 8 miles away, that was how far I had to drive to school, in like 10 minutes. And I thought that would be fascinating, just the first point off, and then I would describe to him the dangers of democracy and the fact that a constitution was a better way to go, which he presumably understood. He did a very, very large study of constitutions. I think 160 constitutions from around the Greek Isles. So that's the first person, so that I could show him that not all of the useful arts had been discovered. Now, my roommate said he could guess the second person at least, or at least one of the people, and most of you probably think Ayn Rand, but I don't know what I would, other than to thank her very much, I don't know what I would say, or ask even. I feel like I know her pretty well, and that's certainly assertive of me to say. I never met her. She was born, or I was born 2 or 3 years before she died. I was a youngster. So I certainly never met her or knew of her existence while we lived on the earth at the same time. I just don't know what I would say to her. So my number 2, oh, and I have to enter a little caveat there. If you agree too much with someone, spending time with them and talking to them is much less interesting. This may not be true of most people. Say 70 or 80% of the people out there in society, when they spend time with their friends, the goal is to just keep talking about nothing. and whatever someone says, you respond with an inane question that you don't care about, and they answer knowing you don't care, and they don't even care about the answer, and that's supposedly polite conversation. But for the rest of us who have brains, you do get slightly bored talking to someone about everything that you both agree about. There was an interview between Nathaniel Branden and Stefan Molyneux, Stefan, on YouTube. He was interviewing Nathaniel Branden, and at one point there was a bit of a pause, and one of them said, "I think we're running out of steam here." I believe it was Nathaniel Branden said, "I think we're running out of steam here." And then it was definitely Nathaniel Branden who said, "That's the danger of talking too much with someone you agree with." And that struck me like a bolt of lightning, because I had been thinking and saying that. I had been talking to people about this for at least the last couple of years. I've mentioned this fact to people. And a month or two ago I listened to that video, and I was like, wow, you know, it's obvious then to other people as well. My roommate disagrees with this and thinks that you should spend time talking to people you agree with, and discovering new things. But the reason that we keep talking about that subject is because we don't agree on it. So that's an interesting. But so who would be the other person? It wouldn't be Ayn Rand. I agree with her on too much. It would possibly be Galileo, and I would want to know why he knelt before the court and said that the earth does not move and stuff. Why did he give in? Possibly he would have good, I mean, according to an objectivist, there's no reason for you to make yourself a martyr. And yet the fire in some people's belly wouldn't let him do otherwise. And I don't know where I would stand. I do know that I've allowed myself to be a martyr in confrontations with teachers in unjust situations and stuff, and so I'm afraid that if the Pope or his little court of thugs was there, I'm afraid that I would have to say, y'all are a bunch of stupid thugs and idiots. But if I were being faced with being burned at the stake, I don't know. So I'd want to talk to him about that. The next person that I would want to talk to, I think, would be Isaac Newton, but Thomas Jefferson is a close running, and the questioner said 3 or 4. So if I can put those both in there, I want to talk to Isaac Newton and ask him what the hell is his problem with alchemy, and why does he spend so much more time on alchemy than his other projects. Quite a major annoyance to me, as brilliant as he was. And I would want to talk to Thomas Jefferson, not about slavery, but about why they didn't try harder to do away with it. And again, his material circumstances were dictated by the possession of slaves. But I would just want to talk to him for a few hours about that subject. If all men are created equal, or if equality's good, or whatever, then what the hell's with this slavery bit? And he never set his slaves free. I think he manumitted some of them when he died in his will, but I don't think all of them. So those are my choices. Thank you for the donation. I will have banged on a lot more about it, but the $10 donation suffices for one video. And I urge anyone else who supports me and the educational material I'm putting on YouTube to donate as soon as you can, because I've got videos, for example, from railroads and regulation ready to go. I need the money right now. I believe that I'm very close to getting the school started and getting students, but that'll just get further and further away if I have to go work 40 hours a week in a sandwich shop. This is the time to support me when I don't have to pay rent. You're actually supporting me so that I can just take care of funding my credit card debt for moving back and forth across the country. You're not paying my rent or my bills or my car. I don't even have a car. You're not paying my car loan. My computer's paid off. This is absolute necessity cash that you're giving me right now, ladies and gentlemen. I beg your pardon for banging on like a commercial here, and probably in August or September of 2010 this won't be current anymore, but for right now it's definitely necessary. I need the cash, I need the donations, and I appreciate anything you'll send, and I'll respond with videos as usual.